Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to go ahead and begin exploring some of the basic terminology that we use when we study any kind of music at all, whether it's classical music, choir music, instrumental music, or pop music. We all use a common vocabulary, and it's important that you know the common vocabulary when you are discussing music, whether you're discussing your thoughts on a particular song or you're learning a song in choir. So today we're going to begin that. As you all know, music is performed everywhere in the world, and every culture has its own styles of music, its own musical history, and its own musical practices. So, but it's still helpful, even though there's different styles. It's still helpful to have a common set of words that we use when we're describing these. So, after the end of this unit, this lesson, my goal for you is that you'll be able to discuss music, including the music you love, using the correct musical terminology and the words. Okay, so it can be hard to define music because music is really varied. We have everything from pop music to country, orchestral music, jazz music, multicultural music, world music. There's so many different styles, hip hop, rap, but it all falls under the category of music. So the generally accepted definition of music is the intentional organization of sound for an artistic purpose. I want you to really think about that. The intentional organization of sound for an artistic purpose. That can really cover everything. And that's why it's kind of a great definition. I think that most of us understand that music goes beyond that definition, though, and it reaches us all differently on kind of an emotional level. So there's the technical definition of music, but then there's also sort of the intangible things that we can't always describe about how it makes us feel. Okay, so a couple terms that you want to know. Pitches, notes, and scales. All right, so all sound is produced by vibrations in the air called sound waves. We can't see them, but sound waves are what produce sound. The term pitch refers to how high or low a sound is, determined by the number or the frequency of vibrations. So a pitch that's way high up here, that's going to have different vibrations in the air than a pitch that's way down here. Okay, so that would be different. A note is simply the written symbol on the page that indicates a certain pitch and rhythm. So the note is the symbol on the page of that sound that you're hearing. Here are some of the most common notes and their corresponding rests. So if you look here, you'll see quarter notes. This is a whole note, a half note, a quarter note, an eighth note, and a 16th note. And next to the notes are the rests that go with them. And a rest is just like a note, only it indicates that there is silence during that period of time. So there is no pitch, there's silence there. And every note has a corresponding rest that goes with it. You will want to memorize some of these very basic notes. You'll want to know what a whole note is, and a half note, and a quarter note, and an eighth note, and a 16th note. Okay? So moving on here, oops, let me go back. A scale, if you can kind of see it here, a scale is a series of notes. And a scale sounds like this. Most of you have heard it before. That is a scale. This scale I'm playing happens to be a C scale, but a scale can begin on any note at all, any pitch. So here's what an F scale would sound like. Just starts on a different note. So that is a scale. It's important to understand scales because a lot of the music we listen to, including your favorite songs, popular music, the melodies are built on scales. And so if you know what a scale is, you'll recognize that when you hear your songs. You'll be able to tell, oh, that's built on a scale. And you start to recognize those patterns. Let's go forward here. Okay, so melody and harmony. These are also two very important concepts to learn. The melody is an arrangement of notes that make up kind of the main part or the most recognizable part of a piece of music. It's usually the part you might hum along with. So for instance, here is the melody for the Star-Spangled Banner. Most of you recognize this. Okay, so that's the melody. All of you know that. All of you could probably hum it if you had to. Okay, if we added harmony to it, if you look down here at this example on the bottom, you'll notice there's a whole bunch of different notes surrounding it, and that is the harmony. So just to play a little bit of the harmonized version of the Star-Spangled Banner, it's going to sound like this. I'm going to try to play it here on my piano. You can hear the harmony. There's lots of different pitches going on in there. You can still hear that main part, but there's also harmony, other notes complementing that part. So it's important to be able to distinguish between the melody, the main part of music, and the harmony, which supports the main part. Beat and rhythm are also two concepts that you will want to know. A lot of people confuse them, and that's okay, but it's important to be able to distinguish between these two concepts, okay? So the beat, it helps to think of like your heartbeat. It's a steady repeating pulse that really doesn't change. Hopefully your heartbeat doesn't change a whole lot, okay? It stays very steady. So the beat is going to stay steady like a heartbeat throughout the entire song or piece, all right? The rhythm is a pattern created by different accents and durations or lengths of notes in a piece of music. So although the beat is steady, like a heartbeat, the rhythm could be all kinds of different collections of patterns. Some of the notes might be long, some of them might be short in duration, there might be rest. So the beat is steady. So think of the word heartbeat, okay? The rhythm can be all mixed and matched and different, okay? I'm gonna play a beat on my metronome here, which is gonna stay very steady. And while the beat's playing, you're gonna hear the beat staying steady. I'm gonna tap a rhythm, okay? So you can hear the difference. So here's your beat. Okay, steady like a heartbeat. Here's a rhythm going along with that. Okay, hopefully that illustrates the difference between beat and rhythm. Now take a look at this little song on the bottom of the page. And I have written out the beats are with the blue marks, and then the rhythms are written in notation. I'm going to let the metronome play the beat, again, steady like a heartbeat, and I'm going to clap the rhythm for this, okay? And I'll read the words as I clap, because the words go along with the rhythm. So here's your beat, steady, and now I'm going to clap and say the rhythm. Bee, bee, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee. So hopefully you get the idea with that. The beat is steady, the rhythm can change up. Tempo is the term for how slow or fast a piece of music is performed. One way that tempo is indicated is by a metronome marking. You see a picture there of a metronome. This is an old-fashioned one. And here's my own metronome that I still use. There's also metronome apps that you can get on your smartphones, and you can use those. And there's metronomes on websites that are free. So there are digital metronomes as well. I like my old-fashioned one. I like being able to see it. So here are some of the different tempos that we can find on our metronome. Okay, adagio would be very slow. You can hear that. Going all the way up to very fast. That's allegro, very quick. With lots and lots of tempos in between, okay? Tempo can be indicated either by a number that tells you the metronome marking, or by common Italian terms that tell us whether a piece should be fast or slow. For instance, allegro in Italian means fast, whereas adagio means slow. So you'll want to start learning some of those terms. They're still used today. Even in popular music, you still will come across those terms. So they're important to know. And down below here, you see a couple excerpts that illustrate both a metronome marking and then also the Italian term allegro. Dynamics and accents. Dynamics are the term for how loudly or how quietly the music is performed. And they're indicated at the beginning of a piece and then also throughout the piece of music by commonly used Italian music terms and symbols. Again, we still use those Italian terms. Even in different countries throughout the world, they still use Italian terms. They just kind of caught on and they stuck. Here are some of the common terms and symbols used to show dynamics in music. Very, very loud would be fortissimo, fortissimo. Loud is forte. Medium loud, we say mezzo forte. Medium soft, we say mezzo piano. Soft or quiet is piano, and really quiet is pianissimo. And in Italian, just like with the word pizza, those two Z's have that ts sound like pizza. So we don't say mezzo, we say mezzo, like we'd say pizza. And then at the bottom of the page, you can see here some accent marks. And those mean different things. Like a staccato mark is the little dot, and that means very short. So it would sound like this. Okay? More of an accent mark, the little sign that kind of looks like this, might be a little bit stronger, but not quite so short. And then there's all kinds of different types of accent marks. So we'll cover those more later on. But they're good to know. All right. Timbre, it looks like timber, but it's pronounced timbre. And texture are also two really important terms to know. Timbre refers to the particular quality of an instrument or a voice, okay? Some words that might be used to describe the timbre of a voice or instrument are bright, dark, rich, airy, shrill, deep, scratchy, screechy, etc. They're more about the quality of the sound, not the pitch, but the quality of the sound. Every instrument and every voice has a distinct timbre. That's why a flute and a violin and a cello and a guitar can all play the same pitch, but you can tell they're different instruments. It's because of the timbre of their sound. It's what makes an opera singer sound different from a pop singer, okay? The timbre of their voice. Texture refers to how different parts of the music are woven together using either voices or instruments. Here are two versions of the Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem. One is written for full orchestra on the left there, and you can see all the different lines for the different instruments. And then the one on the right is written for just piano on the right. And you can just see how different the textures look on a visual level. You can kind of see the difference. So just take a moment and look at those excerpts and just imagine how different they probably sound when you hear them. So that is texture, how the different lines and instruments and everything are woven together. Okay. All right. After completing this lesson, you should now have the vocabulary to discuss all kinds of music in an informed and an educated way. So as you do assignments in here from now on, written assignments, or when we discuss things in class, I'd like you to try to use the correct vocabulary when you're asked to describe or discuss music. For example, instead of writing, I didn't like the song, it was too loud, you could consider writing something like, I didn't like this song because the dynamics were too loud. Instead of writing, I really liked the singer's voice, you could write, the timbre of the singer's voice was really nice. You know, he or she had a rich quality, a dark quality to their voice that I really like. Something like that. It's a little bit more descriptive than saying, I like their voice. Using the correct terminology makes a big difference in how well thought out your answers appear. If you use the right words, it just sounds like you know what you're talking about, more than if you just kind of are vague in your answers. So try to be really precise and use that music terminology as much as you can. And once you learn the basic terms, there's more and more terms that you can add, but it's really good to know those basics. All right, that is the end of this lesson in basic music terminology. Feel free to rewatch it, take notes, and you can use this recording when you do the assignments that go along with this lesson. Feel free to refer back to this recording if you need.